Welcome to a world of thrills, a world of drama, of capes and tights, a world where death is a revolving door. Welcome to the Geek Matrix.
I hate it. I hate it. It's back. Oh my god! And no, it's really,
Jimmy. I missed
really
you, Jimmy.
good though. It's really good. Our truth needs you, dude. Go find our truth. All right, welcome to the
Jimmy's
Geek
mine.
Matrix. Jimmy, not so little anymore.
No.
Welcome to the Geek Matrix DC Comics Review Show number 196.
196. There are 4 more weeks until episode 200. The week after episode 200 is when we will draw a $25 gift card. So if you sign up at any time between now and episode 200, you'll be entered for free to get a $25 Amazon gift card that you can spend on whatever you want. All you got to do is sign up for $2.99 in our Discord.
I mean, you say for free, but then
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the subscription is what you pay for. The giveaway
It's free.
is free. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I took
Just to clarify.
basic economics. That's how you
Yeah.
got to phrase that shit.
Exactly. Yeah, so we're here. Brandon is busy, I believe, with more finals, more work to do. He's almost there. He's almost out of school. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
At least he promises.
He
Yeah.
I don't know what he'll do if he doesn't have something to constantly keep his attention focused on something.
He's got a lot of extracurricular activities to doing, including this. And he
Right.
said like he's looking forward to having just some free time.
That's what I'm saying.
And he's got like so many comics to read and places he wants to go see. He's just gonna like enjoy some freedom.
Homie reads like a dozen issues from like 5 different publishers every
I
week.
know.
I don't know. And I read books fast. Sometimes I can put them down in 3 minutes. And I can't wrap my head around that many comics on a weekly basis. And that's not even going back and doing rereads like y'all do.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's like fresh for the week.
That's insane is what that is. That's like studying.
I mean, to be fair, he gets almost a week in advance, but it's still a lot.
Yeah, and it's still every week.
Yeah.
You know, sure, there's small weeks like what we've got this week, because it's annuals.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, no. And hell, sometimes, I mean, if DC or Marvel's feeling froggy, you might be looking at 10 or more issues.
Hell, remember a couple years ago when we were getting like 18 books a week?
Oh, homie, do I ever.
Just DC.
Mhm. Yep, I remember that. It was right about the time that y'all first started doing it, and I eventually decided that we did not have to cover every single issue. I had already done that long enough.
It was a lot.
It was so much.
Yeah.
I had some podcast episodes that went almost 5 hours before you guys got here.
Holy shit.
You tell me about it.
Jesus. I ain't got time for that. I'm going to be honest with you.
Ain't nobody got no time for that.
No, we'd have to
Now
start at,
consider we covered 18 books in like 4 to 5 hours, where we cover 6 to 8 in 3, or like 4 in 3, or maybe even sometimes 12 in 3. There's something about 3 hours for us that just seems to work. That's our butter number
for years. See, 3 is my favorite number, and I believe this is my multiverse theory.
Oh,
all right. I know, wild fucking tangent. Speaking of the number 3, but that in terms of the multiverse, each, if it exists, of course, each universe is ruled by a number, and This universe would be universe 3. It's ruled by the number 3.
Okay.
And you see it everywhere. Right? We don't have pyramids shaped like a cube. We have pyramids shaped like a triangle. Earth is the 3rd planet in our solar system. The classic saying, everything happens in threes, and it
I will give you that. Even in most religions, 3 plays a big significant number, be it Christianity or Judaism, or not Judaism, excuse me, Hinduism. There's quite a number of them that have 3 as the head, and that goes all the way back to pagan times.
Exactly. So I believe this universe is ruled by the number 3. So in terms of the multiverse, this is the 3rd universe. My theory goes, though, that as the number in the universe increases, so does the collective mindset and the knowledge base, the genius level capacity will increase.
So
Universe 4 would be smarter than us.
gotcha.
Universe 2 would not be smarter than us.
So somewhere 9 universes away from us is Brainiac?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That was a nerd joke because he's a 12th level intellect.
Exactly. I got it.
Just for
I
people out
understood
there
that
going, what the
reference.
fuck? I do get that there's that 3. It does fall under one of those deals. There's I'm blanking on it, and my bachelor's degree in psychology is kicking me in the head right now. But it is a phenomenon in which if something comes to mind, you notice it more. So like if the number 3 is on your mind, you will see that there's number 3s in a lot of different places. Jim Carrey did a whole movie about it. I think it was called 23.
Oh yeah.
But it's kind of the same thing as like when you buy a car, up until you bought that Chevy Equinox, you really didn't see Chevy Equinoxes anywhere. Now that you buy a Chevy Equinox, every 7th fucking car is a Chevy Equinox.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, now you see them all over the place.
Now it's in your mind.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you're wrong. My explanation into quantum mechanics and my theories of the multiverse is a little too long for a 3-hour podcast about comic books, but I do see where you're coming from, and it's got some viable points of view there. And the one big reason that I don't like that, and I'm not going to take up a whole bunch of time going on off about this, I promise, my dear listeners, but is that if all numbers are ruled, if all universes, all multiverses, whatever, is ruled by an individual number, then the likelihood that our existence is nothing but a simulation would have to increase, and I highly dispute the simulation theory of our existence. So by default, I have to not like yours because yours helps that argument.
That's fair. That's fair.
Nothing personal against you, and I see where you come from, and I agree with it. I think you got a lot of footing there, but I have to by de facto say, well, that's not going to work for me.
I do like the idea that we're a science experiment, though.
Yeah, sure. But
ants in a jar kind of deal.
Yeah, for sure. And it would be, I don't want to say remiss, but arrogant to think that that's not at least a distinct possibility. But the fact that I'm telling you that if somebody programmed me to exist, they should not have been allowed near a keyboard.
Yeah. I get it.
Somebody fucked up. You're
gonna get found out, Buster. Yeah, so that's our philosophical, deep thinking talk on this comics review podcast.
There we go. It took the place of Brandon bringing up Dark Horse.
Speaking of indie publishers, though, we had a new #1 come out this week.
Oh,
do you remember what it is? Yes.
It is Flash Gordon, right? I haven't gotten a chance to read it.
No. Flash Gordon. No, that I don't think that's even officially announced yet.
Oh no, it's announced. It's out.
Is it?
It's like I know for a fact that the first issue is him having to break out of a space prison. But
Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember seeing the preview for that. Yeah. No, today or not today. I read it today, but this week we got Space Ghost #1.
Oh damn it! I completely forgot about Space Ghost. Now I got to go back up to the damn comic book shop.
I think, if I remember right, it's from Dynamite. I read it. Quite interesting. It's nothing like super exciting, but it's cool.
Good.
Yeah. Obviously,
That's what
a more mature version of Space Ghost, but it's interesting.
If you try to kick it off in a big bombastic way right off the bat, if it hits, first off, if it misses, you just look like a goddamn fool.
Yeah.
If it hits, then you've pretty much kicked yourself in the ass because now that's what you have to beat.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not nobody. You don't ever want to do that. You don't ever want to do that. Linkin Park is one of those few examples where you come out of the gate and every fucking song is a #1, and you don't fizzle out after that because your second album is just as kick-ass.
Yeah.
That never happens. That never happens. Not with comics or movies or anything.
Yeah, so definitely worth a check out, especially if you are a fan of Space Ghost or Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
It's nothing like Coast to Coast.
It's nothing like Coast to Coast. But if you watched Coast to Coast, then you watched Space Ghost. That's what matters. Brack is I will tell you,
Get ready to see a TV talk show host like you've never seen them before.
Fighting crime in space. Brack is in the issue. I'll bury that lead right now.
Hell yeah. I mean, he would have to be. I'm just saying. Again, as somebody who did like Space Ghost a lot, that's just
again, nothing like he was in Coast to Coast.
Oh yeah,
far from it. Yeah. Wasn't Brack like the co-host, like the side guy, the announcer?
Yeah, he was the Ed McMahon to Space Ghost, Johnny Carson.
Yeah. I was trying to remember that. I was thinking of like Andy Richter to his Conan
O'Brien.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. You're younger than I am.
Well, I know Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon, but like
that's not going to be the first thing that pops into your fucking head.
Yeah, like I binge a lot of Andy Richter Conan clips. They are a hilarious duo.
Have you watched the new Conan O'Brien episodes? He's got a new series out. I think it's called Conan O'Brien Needs to Go to Hell or some shit like that.
I
can't remember. I'll have to.
I didn't know he had a new show.
Yeah, he's got a new show. Unless the show is about the podcast, I have no fucking clue. I can't remember. The more I talk about it, the less I can remember. But we'll look it up after the show.
Right on.
After we're done talking about comics and whatnot.
Well, speaking of comics, one thing I want to show off that I got the other week. The Bug.
Thanks, buddy guy streams. We appreciate that. Much love back at you, man. You got the Bug.
Cheers. I got the Bug.
Oh man, that's super cool. Oop,
my favorite aspect. It's got "I Love New York" bumper sticker on the back.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
That.
I got some Green Lanterns in there right now. It's got the zip line for when I eventually get Ted. He can climb on up there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty freaking cool for a thing that's made for 4.5-inch figures that most people don't give a shit about. This is fun. It's doing what it's supposed to do and reminding me of my childhood. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
And it's just fun. It's fun to look at. I got John and Hal in there right now because I don't have Ted yet. And Booster has yet to be announced. So,
Well, hey. Then what you should be doing is dropping in a little Jaime.
I don't have a little Jaime.
Yeah. Oh, you don't know. That's right. You only have the big one. I forgot.
Yeah.
Forgot. That's
Is
for
there a little Jaime?
It's no, I don't. I mean, I don't know. But what's the line called again? It's not Super Friends.
Superpowers.
Superpowers. That's what it is. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun from McFarlane. If you're willing to dish out obnoxious amounts of money on toys, go for it. It's fun. It's not that bad, but it's getting more expensive as the years go on.
Yeah, I just like casually looked over at my stuff and I'm like, well, that one was 60, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 10, 20, 10, gift, 20, 25, 10, 10,
Yeah.
10, 20. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Get them on sale.
For sure.
Like, for example, they just dropped a listing today. McFarlane Toy Store exclusive, the Batman White Knight Batmobile.
Oh, dude, that's sick.
Yeah, for like the 7-inch figures, like the full size figures.
Right.
But it is $130 American.
Holy balls, dude.
Looks fucking amazing, but no way in hell is that going to sell out. Not at that price.
Oh, hold on a second here. I'll tell you what. I'll let you know whether or not it'll sell.
This guy has reading glasses on.
Yeah, shut up.
Okay, I'm curious what you're doing. What are you looking up? Are you looking up pictures of it?
I am actually looking up what the Batman White Knight figure looks like. And bro,
it looks good.
It looks damn good. So White Knight, we got the Curse of the White Knight Bat Cycle.
Yeah,
that's $18. That's sick. So then we have the Batmobile. Yes, my autocorrect to my new phone doesn't know what a Batmobile is.
Not surprising. Not surprising.
Gold label. Oh, it does look sick.
Right?
Cool. Batmobile, Batman White Knight, gold label vehicle, MTS exclusive, pre-order, ships June, $90.
What? Okay, maybe I saw it in Canadian dollars then.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Still pretty expensive.
It's pretty damn expensive, but when I see characters out there that I'm honestly, if I can be honest, I'm glad that I don't make another $500 or $600 a month, because I would be ashamed of myself buying a bunch of $100 figures.
Yeah, I definitely try to keep a limit on how much I spend on one figure.
Yeah, how much is that?
I think the most I will go 40 to 50.
Gotcha.
If it's anything over that, it's not really worth it.
Nope, I haven't spent that much money on any of these. Well, I bought that 3-pack for $60, but that
That's
had
three
Clayface
figures.
Batman. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So we're there. The comic books haven't been though. Should we jump in on those?
I think we should.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean we're only fucking 20 minutes in. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. It's actually
Not
better than
too
we
bad at
usually
all.
do, I think.
Yeah. We're catching up.
All right. So before we do jump into these, I have a confession to make. I didn't read any of the free comic book stuff because
I mean, it's
free
not
comic
out.
book. Okay, it was listed on in the stuff, and I could have swore it wasn't coming out till this weekend.
No, it's not.
But okay, all right.
But I
good.
put it on the
because
list
it was
to
on my
mention.
calendar and everything.
No. Yeah, I just put it out to mention. Say this Saturday, free comic book day. Be sure to head to your LCS, where you can get some free comic books from all sorts of companies. DC's addition to Free Comic Book Day 2024 includes Mad Magazine Special Edition, Barkham Asylum Special Edition, Barda Special Edition. Barkham Asylum and Barda being YA or kid books. And then for us regular continuity readers, we have Absolute Power Special Edition #1, which is supposed to be a preview of the upcoming events in July. Yeah. Also, speaking of Free Comic Book Day, Marvel fumbled the ball. I'm going to be honest with you. That's what I think.
I mean, I just naturally assume that's happening.
Let me double check that I'm right about this. Let's come to think of it. I checked it weeks ago, but I hadn't double checked just to be sure. Yeah, their Free Comic Book Day is they have Blood Hunt, the Ultimate Universe special, which is cool. Okay, so they do have one. They should have done. Okay, that's something. I was gonna say this Free Comic Book Day happens to be May 4th, Star Wars Day.
You would think that you'd get a Star Wars comic.
Yes, they do have Star Wars Darth Vader #1 coming out, and this week they have the 25th anniversary special comic book for Star Wars Phantom Menace.
Jeez.
But that's already out. That's written by Greg Pak. Interesting. I might
Tell
check
you
that
the
out.
comic books. I haven't read them regularly, but I have picked them up from time to time for special little small runs, and they're good.
Yeah.
Like better than the movies and TV.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
At
So
certain times, anyway.
you mentioned the Free Comic Book Day offerings. We also have DC's Spring Breakout #1, which is exactly what you think it is. It's their springtime anthology, and there's bikinis and bad stories.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it's about. It's actually better this year than it was last year. I'm not gonna lie, but it's all right if you're an anthology book kind of fan. Then go ahead and take a peek at that one. It's not too bad, and I will say that Harley and Zatanna in Spring Break was enjoyable.
Oh, see, I haven't checked out Spring Breakout yet, so there's a Harley and Zatanna story in that.
Yeah, they co-star in the very first one.
Interesting. Well, it's kind of awkward.
Little different.
Yeah, because there's a Harley and Zatanna story this week in the Harley Quinn Annual.
Right now.
Right now. That's right. This is written and drawn by Erica Henderson with letters from Hassan Asmane El Hou. And I can only assume the cover is also done by Erica Henderson. The signature on the cover is Harley Quinn's. I don't see
Yeah.
any other signature. But the art style is pretty much the same as the interior. So, it's an annual, so it's a bit oversized, but I will do my best to keep it succinct and get to the point. Harley joins some robbers, most likely some goons she teamed with in the past, to rob a bank. They make her promise to not do any wacky, crazy shit, which goes completely against everything Harley stands for, but she does
Of
it
course.
anyway, and they get away scot free. They actually escape with the money. They were not found, they were not caught, and then they all divvied up and go their separate ways. Case closed. Harley takes her share of the money after all the other goons were thinking about, they're going to buy a house or they're going to invest this or don't trust banks, yada, yada. She's like, what am I going to do? What do normal people do? I know. I'll book a cruise. And she does just that. Ivy does not want to go on the boat because she does not want to get cholera or any
Yeah.
other disease.
Look, I am with you, Ivy.
Yeah.
As cool as cruise ships sound, the idea of being trapped on board a boat with hundreds of people I don't know and might not like does not sound appealing to me.
Yeah.
It's
especially
not
with
like you
food
can hop in your car and go
might
home.
get you sick. Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's always that chance that
I'm
maybe
good
the
on the
food just
cholera.
goes bad and you're just ill the whole fucking time.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm way good.
Yeah. But so Harley goes off alone and she's looking forward to enjoy her vacation, not before Ivy gives her a sweet kiss goodbye, which also inoculates her from all known diseases on any boat. It helps to have a girlfriend that is basically a living laboratory.
In touch with her toxic side.
Yes. Right, so day one, she's having a blast. She's relaxing by the pool. She's playing some craps, having lots of food, sleeping in a nice big bed. Day two, exactly what Josh said. She's surrounded by dozens, if not hundreds of people she hates and hates everything that's going on. People keep talking to her, getting in her way, and she just wants to get off the boat as soon as possible. But she tries to make the best of it still, looks at the upcoming shows or events that are happening on the boat and sees a certain name that stands out to her, someone that once arrested her, and she buys a quick seat using her Imperial Suite card, which gets her like prime access to everything on the boat, including being able to go backstage and go straight to the dressing room of one Zatanna Zatara. But when she enters the dressing room and says hi very loudly, Zatanna just kind of turns awkwardly with a blank face and says greetings and proceeds to do a card trick, which is clearly not Zatanna. So Harley heads back out to the ship and finds the real Zatanna sitting poolside reading a book. So then Harley finds out from Zatanna that she has used magic to create a copy who is able to do all the magic necessary to basically run the show for her, since hero work and magic work as a duo don't really offer a lot of vacation time. So she's using this while getting paid to also have a little vacation for herself. I don't blame her.
No, you got to get money from somewhere, right?
Yeah. How many times
mean-
has she saved the world?
That's
I
what I'm
think-
saying.
I think it's only fair she gets to take some time for herself. So
She's still exerting energy.
yeah,
Okay, so I mean, she's relaxing and still having to work technically.
yeah, but at least it's more relaxing than having to actually work.
Right.
So Harley drags her to the magic show anyway, just to see it from an outside perspective in the audience. But instead of sitting in Harley's priority seat, because now she's with Zatanna, they go up to the balcony where, oddly enough, nobody is sitting. The entire balcony is empty, which Zatanna very much points out. It also helps that somebody stole Harley's seat, so she couldn't sit there anyway, even if she wanted to at the time.
Boo.
So while that's happening, the fake Zatanna is performing a knife throwing trick, but then the lights go out, you hear a loud thunk, and a body falls to the floor. The person that's on the spinning board is perfectly fine, but then we see a spotlight shine on a dead body in the audience, which just so happened to be sitting in Harley's seat. So now Harley and Zatanna are doing whatever they need to solve this crime, because now Zatanna is being framed for the murder and Harley is supposed to be dead.
Whoops.
So they go into wherever the body's supposed to be, and turns out it's in the kitchen, which not the great place. It's also in the deep freeze with all the food. Again, not a great place for a dead body. Upon
Nope.
inspecting the dead body, they find out it's none other than Vandal Savage, who is actually alive because he's immortal. Knife stab to the back will not kill him. So he gets the knife pulled out thanks to Hurley. And it is Hurley, right? Sorry, the light shining on the screen. Thanks to Hurley, and now the trio agree to work together reluctantly to try and solve this. Because now Vandal is in on it. He wants to find out who is willing to murder him. So then the trio do some snooping, come up with jack shit while sitting out poolside, excuse me, on the deck. And as Harley gets up to go grab something, a knife sticks right into the chair she was shitting on. She was sitting on. Holy crap! Much
Totally
to
different
everyone's
vibe
surprise. Yep. And then we see none other than Bronze Tiger showing up, who reveals that he was the one that was supposed to, or at least was trying to kill her. Vandal, obviously pissed off that he got stabbed in the back, quite literally, fights the shit out of Bronze Tiger, beats him up, and now Harley's pissed because now she wants to know why she is being targeted. To which then Vandal ends up throwing up, very sick, very ill, and from a helicopter out comes Guy Mandrake, otherwise known as I don't remember his freaking alter ego name, but he was in Detective Comics. He was one of the I don't remember the group's name. The bunch of people that were fighting against Batman because they were side effects of crimes and missions. Son of a bitch. What are they called?
Side effects of crimes and missions.
Guy
Is that what you
Mandrake.
just said?
The Victim Syndicate.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Their powers were side effects of.
Yeah.
Yeah. His alias, Mr. Noxious. If he looks at you using the power of his mind, he can make you very ill. Harley is thankfully immune to everything, thanks to Ivy, but she insists that Zatanna closes her eyes and they run away together. They discover that Guy Mandrake has now infected everyone on the boat, so they're the only two that are not sick at the time. So they run off as fast as they can. Harley has an idea. They go to the cell where fake Zatanna is being kept, gets on camera, shows off the knife that she's holding, and stabs the fake Zatanna, seemingly killing her. So this now exonerates Zatanna in the law's eyes, and Harley just gets another felony on her record. She's fine with it. And Zatanna is moved by this glowing act of heroics and bravery as Guy Mandrake and his goons show up. She uses her backwards magic, saying vomit and diarrhea, causing them to get gravely ill. And now back on back in prison, the pair are now together, being held in a holding cell. But since the police and authorities have the presence of two known criminal metahumans, no murder victims, including Zatanna herself, and everything else seems to be hunky-dory, they're free to go. But as an apology, the company would like to offer them both a free cruise to anywhere they offer, to which both ladies are like, fuck no.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, no, I'm okay. Thanks, man. Yeah,
Appreciate
this was actually a lot more fun than I thought it would be. I thought it was just a side issue, had nothing to do with the ongoing story. I'm just like, okay, like these annuals are hit or miss when it comes to that, but this was, I think, a hit for me. It was a lot of fun. The art style fit the bill very nicely. It at times felt like an episode of the animated series. It was wacky, it was zany, it had mystery, it had action, it had returning characters, it had interesting plots. Um, there's honestly not much to dislike here. Erica Henderson did a really good job with both writing and art. Obviously, the fact that she did both means they flow really well together. So I'm giving this 8.75 out of 10. Very solid issue.
Interesting. You gave it a 8.75. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Right on. Well, for me, I mean, it's hardly on a. I guess you would call it a solo adventure.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Henderson's art. The story was okay, and thinking back to it now that you mentioned that it's similar to the animated series, I guess I could see a little bit more of what it was going from, but I came to this straight from Teenie Howard's Harley, and it just felt off. Again, I'm not a fan of Henderson's art. I really didn't enjoy that, but the story altogether not that bad. It just wasn't what I'm used to. So I'm gonna give Harley Quinn a 7 out of 10.
That's fair. I mean, that's 100%, I'd say, a very fair grading system. At least you didn't hate it. That's fair.
There were times.
This is not an art style that you're a big fan of. I completely get that.
Yeah. Just don't dig the art style. The story, it was graded lower. I did raise the score up because of the. You're right. It is quite like the Harley animated series, so it deserves that.
Yeah, I like it when people like things. That's what I mean by at least you didn't hate it, right?
Yeah.
I find it good that you were able to find something to enjoy about it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And not to spoil anything, but speaking of enjoying stuff,
or trying,
we'll get there. Written by Simon Spurrier, art by Scott Koblish, Amanke Nwalpin, George Cambadeas, and Tom Derenick. Colors by Marissa Louise, Lee Lowridge, and Matt Herms. Lettering from Hassan Atzmani El-Hao, with a cover from Mike Diodato Jr. and Yao Canola. We have the Flash 2024 annual. I don't know why they number these, but they do.
I mean, it's not numbered like it used to be.
Yeah, thankfully.
It used to be number 1, which was driving me nuts because they never had a number 2.
But sometimes they would.
Oh yeah, in the 90s they actually did like number them 1, 2, 3, 4, and that was fine until they realized, look, we're losing track.
And
some
also,
years we do an annual, some years we don't.
Also, why are we calling these annuals if we're putting out 4 of them a year? Wouldn't that make them quarterlies? Anyway, Flash 2024 annual. This is the cosmological quest for the hero Wally West.
That
All right. It did. It was also the title of the book. So I can't take credit for it. And we're going to kick it off. While it seems that Barry has realized what's going on, that the more they use their powers, the worse the tragedies going on around the world get. The problem is no one wants to listen, and they all just keep going, including Barry. He's on a cosmic treadmill. It's really beating the hell out of him, and I guess he's communicating via radio with everyone, which makes Avery and Wallace show up because he sounds weird to them. They talk to Barry, but Barry looks all weird. His ear lightning or whatever is all messed up, and he yells at them. So Avery and Wallace look at each other and say, "Want to split?" And they do. Meanwhile, Wally is with the Savior. He's losing himself, his memories and whatnot, while contained in what looks like some sort of holographic advanced Flash suit, in a way, anyway. He's losing his memories and only feeling the want of exploring at this point. But the Savior is trying to get him to remember, hold on to his memories. Eventually it works and he gets teleported back to the garden gallery, but not before he's told that he has the radiance of the stillness surrounding him, though that's not explained any further. Anyway, Wally is bouncing all over trying to hunt the stillness. Maxine Baker and Irie have done some sciencey stuff, quietly influenced by Mirror Master and Grodd. It shifted the frequencies of the speedsters. Now Avery and Wallace can see Wally as he races past them. Amanda Waller, is employing some kind of weaponized flute that screams, and it's messing even more with the speedster's vibrations. Wally and Avery are close enough vibrationally to Wally that they can kind of hear him as he screams to them to stop using their powers. They can't make out what he's saying, though. He doesn't get them to stop. But the Folded Man does, as he traps the two of them inside some giant-ass origami. Finally, Wally catches the creepy shits known as the stillness, and he demands answers. When I say catches, I mean catches up to. That's when we find out that the biggest motivator for all of the actions of the stillness is boredom. That makes so much sense for a cosmic entity that's eternal. Boredom. It's the curse of immortality. There's nothing that they haven't experienced, nothing. So they explore, they seek, and all they are bored and feel empty. While this entire adventure has been going on, Wally has dipped into reality as close as he can to witness what's going on around the world in his world at some pretty inopportune times. He hears each of his family members saying that things are better off without him, but he misses the context. And he believes what they've said. He believes that he's done everything that he can, that he's tried his best to carry the load, but can't. While Inspector Pilgrim detains Avery and Wallace for reasons of continuity, Wally makes his decision. He goes back to the garden gallery, slumps down in front of the Flash statue with... Side note, as all of this is happening, the statues in the garden gallery are actually changing to mimic what's going on. And Wally finally, he says out loud that it's time for him to let himself forget that it's time to cut his selfish strings to the real world because it's better off without him. He says that it's time for him to stop, which is not what Flashes are supposed to do. To be continued in Flash number 9. Jesus Christ on a cracker, what is going to happen? All of the speedsters are affected in big ways. The Speed Force's source comes from beyond the source wall. Irie has made a way... I'm sorry?
Supposedly.
Yeah. Well, it certainly seems that way. They just didn't want to talk about it. Irie has made a way to share the power of the Speed Force with anyone, if I understood what happened there. Pilgrim could be a bad guy. And Wally, I mean, what will he be? Who will he be at the end of this story? Will he even be? How is it going to affect speedsters across the entire publisher by and large? I'm just okay. So I feel like when I walk away from an issue with a bunch of questions about what happened, it's not a good sign. But when I walk away, it's not. But when I walk away from an issue with a bunch of excited question, I feel like that's a totally different ballgame. This has been rough on Wally, sure. And I was trepidatious in approaching this book. I'm a Cy Spurrier fan for sure, but I also knew that meant that even with me and a million other people craving for Wally to have things go a little easy on him for a while, I mean, that's not happening, but it's okay. It feels like such an important story as far as all of the speedsters go, and I'm just dying to know how it ends. I like the art in each section where it's different, but I'm not gonna lie, it took a second for me to adjust each time because the styles are so vastly different. Just not enough for me to hate it a whole bunch. In what I am assuming is stark contrast to Rob, am grading this one an 8.75 out of 10.
How did you know?
You ain't like this shit all.
I will say, I'm touch and go. It's not a stark contrast, but it is certainly not a glowing recommendation for me. So it this issue did help a little bit, but not enough yet. We did see a bit more of like answers. I just don't know if I liked the answers. Like not even like the
Fair
stuff
enough.
with their board. I completely get that. That makes sense. I that's fine. Did it need to happen? I don't think so. Like in almost every major cosmic book where primordial forces and cosmic beings and gods above gods are saying like are just causing shit, the answer is always I had nothing to do. Like that's I get it. I don't know if it needed to happen. I don't care for the story. So as much as I get that answer, doesn't mean I like it. I completely get that some force is affecting the emotions of Barry and potentially other members of the Flash family, but I still didn't like the characterization of Jay in this issue. I felt he was a little too forceful, too unforgiving about things. He was just at like I know he's always been one to like the Speed Force is a force for good, and we need to use its gifts because we were chosen. Like that's always been his shtick. But he seemed very arrogant about the way he was going about it this time, and it just doesn't feel like Jay to be that kind of arrogant.
That's fair.
Yeah, that part took me out a little bit, even though he was only there for like half a page. Just like that felt awkward.
Felt a little awkward, bud.
Yeah, it's fucking awkward, bud.
That's it.
I wish the West family could just be happy.
I mean, and I touched on that. I'm not going to hate on it if it gives me a damn good story.
I'm happy you like it.
You're happy when people like things.
Exactly. However, I don't. So we definitely got some answers here. Not enough answers, really. Pilgrim, I'm still not convinced he's a bad guy. I think all of this is being done by his future organization that he works for. Obviously, it's they had their good intentions there. They're taking the speedsters out of reality for the time being because the Speed Force, as is being used, is tearing reality asunder. So what are they doing? They're putting the speedsters in stasis, keeping them frozen in space and time where they can't fucking move. I think that makes sense. I don't think that's a bad thing. Is it against their will and mildly horrific? Yeah, definitely. But it's necessary. Right? Obviously, it's not necessary to do it horrifically, but let's face it, none of the speedsters were listening to the idea of the Speed Force destroying things. And maybe we should stop and slow down for a minute. They were just like still going as fast as they possibly could to take things out, even though the more they used the powers, the worse things got. So
they just didn't want to listen to Barry.
They didn't want to listen to Barry. Do you think Pilgrim and these other guys in white coats were going to show up and say, hey, you got to stop moving? They're going to fucking listen? No. They're going to have to do it forcefully. There was no way around that. It's unfortunate, but it's just the nature of things. With David Suzuki. Sorry, I had to fucking say that. I think that was it. Wally losing himself is so bummer. I just can't. I can't wait to have fun Flash stories again. You know, I know I just bought the 1 Minute War, but that was at least surrounded by fun stories. Like, I know that was a really good dark story for the Flash. That was a really good dark story.
It was really good.
Yeah,
I did like that.
Dark for the sake of being dark. It was dark surrounded by joy, and dark because it's war. It's gonna fucking be dark.
Agreed.
Yeah. The story became dark because of the necessity for it, because of the evolution of the story. It was naturally dark. This is feeling forcefully dark, and I don't care for forceful dark. If that makes sense, I don't even know if that's
I
a proper
do.
way to phrase it.
No, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's honestly, I just think we're looking at, like, I'm looking at the big repercussions. I am so fucking tired of big stories where everything ends up exactly as it was before the big story happened. And this really doesn't feel like this is going to be the case. This feels like when it's all said and done, there's going to be something really different with this Speed Force, and probably at least one speedster.
I mean, I could see us having more insight into the Speed Force and the Source Wall by the end of this, but whatever change could happen, I think is going to be reversed super quickly. I have a feeling that, like, I get what you're saying. This story definitely has the makings of a change, like a permanent fucking change, at least for a good few years. But at the same time, I'm feeling like it's not going to happen. I think it's just going to end up the hunky dory. Everything's back to normal. The only thing that might possibly happen is the West family just has a bit of the therapy they have to go through.
Dude,
that might be it.
If Spurrier, and like I said, I'm a Spurrier fan, but if he has found a book where he can weave a story and not nail the landing, you're going to hear me flip out so fucking bad. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I'm gonna hear Cy Spurrier needs to keep off Kate books. Can't write a good story.
Does John Constantine count as a Kate book? I think so. I'm not gonna go that far. You have to fuck up more than one title, but I would be pissed because of how heavy this feels. This feels. Where the fuck did my camera go?
I mean, Tiny and fucked up one book. No, you're not there. I thought you. Tiny and fucked up one book, and you're just like, he sucks at Kate books. I know you didn't care for his Detective Comics either, but like, it was way better than his Batman.
Oh God, I mean, I guess.
And I liked his Detective Comics. So did Brandon. I think a lot of people did.
A lot of people did like it. For me, it just led into total bull.
But what
is going on here?
What total bull are you talking? That's what I'm confused about. Like, what did it lead? What did it even lead into? It didn't really lead into anything.
More of his. It led into his Batman run.
None of that was connected.
Okay, so his run in Detective Comics did not get him his job writing Batman.
I mean, like,
it was connected in the most important way,
but like, the stories were not connected. I mean, and like, it came before his Batman run, so you're gonna hate his Detective Comics run because the run he had after it was shit, even though it had nothing to do with it.
I thought his Detective Comics run was pretty average.
No, I mean, that's
or
fair.
Less.
Not less.
Get that horse shit.
You've disappeared.
Horse shit. I will have to. You're gonna make me do it.
What? What did I make you do? Confused. You're gonna make me do it. Starts typing furiously. What the fuck just happened? You're still not on camera.
I was, and then I went away again. I don't know.
Jimmy is taking your soul.
He's taking my soul.
See, when Jimmy wasn't here, we didn't have these problems.
We had Rise of the Batmen. Not great. Awesome art. Fear State. not great. Awesome art. Night of the Monster Men, really bad. Pretty good art.
Hey,
Gotham Knights,
wait,
horrible.
wait. Pause.
What?
You said Night of the Monster Men had pretty good art?
Unless, hold on a second.
No.
Hold on. I might be confusing that with. Let me.
There was two artists. I'll give you this.
Hold on.
2 artists. Don't backtrack here. You know what you said.
Oh yeah, okay. Look, art by Roger Antonio and Yannick Paquette, and you know damn well Yannick Paquette is one of my favorites. So
yes, but you know who else did art on
Riley
that story?
Rosmo drew on that, yeah, which is absolutely garbage.
He drew the monsters really well. He was one of my favorite.
He can't draw anything well. He can't draw anything well. If you gave him a fucking spiral, he would draw you a goddamn square. Gotham Knights was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. Gotham Knights was horrible.
You're horrible. The story with like the 4 towers that Tim built this whole system. It was the only. Oh no, was that Night of the Monster Men too?
Yep.
Which was Gotham Knights.
Just FYI, just so you know, Tynan wasn't solely responsible for Night of the Monster Men. He wasn't, but
Tom King was involved too.
And it was just bad.
It was
Gotham Knights was bad.
It took me
Batman,
a couple of reads
hold on,
to really enjoy Night of the Monster Men. I'll give you that.
Batman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that was good. Tynan wrote that.
There you go.
And Justice League Dark, I enjoyed the majority of that run when he was writing it. I loved it when Ram V took over. I was so pissed when it fell apart. But I will give him that Justice League Dark was a very interesting title to me.
Fair.
But the rest of it, no.
We need to do a what the hell's it called? A retrospective on Tiny Detective Comics, and we can skip Night of the Monster Men, even though that might be my favorite one of the run. But
I tell you what, if you want to do this as a bonus show or something, we haven't done that in fucking forever. But
yeah,
if you want to pull up a list of all these fucking issue numbers, I will go back and reread them just like I did with Grayson, because I am not stuck in my ways just because I'm exceptionally opinionated. I'll give it a shot.
Yes, you do. It's a damn shame you couldn't get more into Grayson, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Dick Grayson story. I would have loved it. But,
yeah.
There's another thing that we're going to touch on later.
I mean, yeah, like it's a damn shame you couldn't get into Grayson, because it would have helped you with the next book quite a lot. Which is Nightwing Annual 2024.
Indeed, it is.
There's
callbacks to it, but go ahead.
Yeah. I just remembered I didn't give my score for Flash. 6.75.
6.75.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah. I liked the art, but it was a bit jarring at times, having 5 different artists.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are at the Nightwing Annual. This is our last book for the week on the main show. Check out our bonus show for there's just House of Brainiac special, or is
I think so.
Pre-titled with Superman or Action Comics? I don't.
No, it's Superman.
Superman House of Brainiac special.
Yes. Yep.
Number 1. House of Brainiac Part 2.5, if you will. Check out the bonus show for a review of that book. But for now, this is Nightwing Annual number 2024. Yeah, the same shit. I feel like the credits got a little iffy because it just says Travis Moore and then goes into the colorist. It doesn't say what Travis Moore did, even though you can tell he wrote it. But I can only assume Travis Moore also did the art, because there's no
Travis Moore draws.
He definitely does, but like there's no penciler or inker listed. It has just Travis Moore, and then it goes into the colorists.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna assume that they wrote that like when almost to the same way like the way with World's Finest, how they do story by
Yeah,
Mark Waid and Dan Mora.
but it
So
doesn't
they
even it
did
doesn't even say that. It doesn't even say
well.
story by. It just literally only says Travis Moore.
I want to assume that that's what there was their own spin on it, but maybe
Yeah,
who knows?
I can only assume, but there is literally nothing there besides just the
Whoops.
words Travis Moore, which I found hilarious.
There.
But
There's the
I
flash
will
cover,
assume.
and now we're looking at B. I keep on forgetting to change the books.
I'll give Flash this, despite the fact that it was Diodato, the cover was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Right, so this is, I can only assume, written and drawn by Travis Moore with colors from Alex Geek Matrix and Ivan Placencia, letters from Wes Abbott, and the cover you see in front of you there from Travis Moore and Tamara Bonvillain. That's why the colors are so popping.
Mm-hmm.
Tamara Bonvillain rocks. Now, this is quite the loaded story, so bear with me, folks. Let me get a drink of water, because this is a long one. This is, as the cover dictates, the secret origin of Bee Bennett, the Pirate Queen. Our story opens 20 years ago at sea, where a young Bee Bennett, going by the name, or her real name, Destiny, is with her mother, who is now has to get a new job because her company, Ascendec, that she works for, is not that great, and she needs a new job. They have to leave Bloodhaven, so they're away on a cruise it's a private boat, not like a cruise like Harley, but like a little private yacht boat, just the two of them, while they talk things over. But then they hear a loud shrill sound, and this is when Bee's mother pushes her off the boat, and the boat explodes. Bee is plunged directly into the water, where she resurfaces just in time to see a boat surrounding the flaming wreckage take off, while she clings to some debris for the next 3 days before she is found by a freighter and then taken back to shore, where she's treated at a hospital and is then discovered to be now all alone and an orphan. She escapes the hospital and heads out into the world, spending time at a homeless camp, which is then taken over by the Ascendec group, which seems to be the villain of the piece. Keep in mind, this is all taking place in Bloodhaven, so corruption abound. This is over the past 20 years. B is very much pissed off with Ascendec, so she breaks into the CEO's boat and takes it for a joyride to the place where her mother's boat was last found. Didn't expect to find anything. She just wanted to go back there for... It's a memory. Excuse me. Not finding anything there, she then searches the boat and finds nothing but the rich jerk CEO's laptop. And thinking she'll be able to break into that, she then hears the loud horn of a freight ship outside. The captain screaming, "Prepare to be boarded." And this happens to be is the group called the Hold?
Yes.
The Bloodhaven Pirates, basically. Yeah.
The ship is the Hold.
Right. So she then joins up with them, and they become her new family. And over the next 5 years, she's been doing nothing but training with the captain, who has adopted her and treats her like family, as a daughter. And after 5 years, she's finally able to break into the laptop she found on that yacht, and finds that the CEO has covered his tracks, deleted all his emails, and she was able to restore some and found some information about a person called the Revenant. That the company suspected that her mother was being disloyal and needed to be eliminated, and Revenant said that they would handle it. So she figures out that the attack on her mom was a hit, and that she needs to now go into Bloodhaven to figure out what happened and get the spirit of her mom to rest. So she blends in with the crowd quite well, finds some friends on the streets and gets into a fun crowd, ending up at a club, which is, excuse me, serves as a front for the CEO's criminal operations. She busts down the door of the private office, takes out the goons, punches the CEO in the face, after saying that she needs all the intel on Ascendex's dirty work, and he refuses. So she punches him out, goes to the computer, and the woman that was there with him mentions that she's wasting her time and that the hit on her mother was contracted through La Agent Funebre's network. To which B then turns around, slams her up against the wall, and asks who the hell you are and how do you know about my mother. But pulling an old trick of look behind you, gets the drop on B, pushes her to the ground, leaves a card for her, and tells her to get out as she calls for security. The card is a phone number for St. Hadrian's Finishing School. And if that name sounds familiar, that is because it is the school in, I believe it was England, that was a front for the spy organization Spiral. So B heads there and trains there for the next little while, and thanks to her training with the pirates in Bloodhaven, she's able to speed through all of her classes fairly quickly, very soon becoming a spy in her own right under the name Siren. She does at one point see Dick Grayson, who was the acrobatics teacher at the time, but she ignored him very quickly, brushing him off with a looks like a player to me. Yeah, foreshadowing. It's got to be great. So she becomes a new spy and takes on the partner, Leanne Shan. If that name sounds familiar, you will find out soon who the hell he is. Josh, are you still here? I'm just making sure.
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay. All right.
Just fighting with stuff.
All right. So your camera was still not working, and it was like super quiet. I'm like, oh fuck, am I alone? Okay, so she excels as a spy, has some amazing missions with Leanne, and finally in Moscow they have a recon mission to find a mask, a pre-Columbian mask from Costa Rica that contains lists and connections to all of La Agent Funebre's Russian operatives, and can connect you to all sorts of people. Except for one problem, B, now a Siren, spies another spy from Checkmate, Ice Suanarat. Obviously, being a rival organization, they are not willing to work together, so they, Ice touches something on her hair clip, shuts off all the lights, and as the lights turn back on, B notices the mask is gone. So she heads straight for Ice, who was heading off to the roof. They have a brief skirmish on the roof, but then some guards show up, and they need to jump off the building super fast, because if they don't, they're going to get shot to shit. So they fall together, but then B is able to hold onto a ledge, grabs Ice's hand, saves her life. Then Ice says, I will repay the debt, and then quickly punches her in the face so she can get away. Remember that. It's important for later. So back at Spiral headquarters, her teacher, who was the person that gave her the card in the first place, basically her superior officer, who I forgot to name. Oh, shit. Carmen, a senior operative at Spiral.
Her handler.
Says, since that, right now, we are basically behind in the case, and Checkmate's going to get all the info, so this mission is done. I have a new mission for you. So one of our former agents, Dick Grayson, a.k.a. Agent 37, a.k.a. Nightwing, was recently shot in the head by an assassin. We all know how that went. Your mission was go back to Bloodhaven and keep an eye on him, because if any of the info in his head gets out, we're fucked. And so was a lot of the world, because he knows a lot of shit. As we all know what happened with Rick Grayson, unfortunately, some of his memories remained intact, but very few indeed. Carmen does reveal one bit of info to be that um, Revenant is actually KG Beast, and this is another reason why B should take on the mission, since KG Beast was the one that shot Dick in the head. So she heads off with not before saying goodbye to her partner, who leaves a transmitter keychain with her in case she ever needs him. So she heads back to Bloodhaven and gets a look around. Finds Rick in a fight ring, underground fight club, getting his ass whooped. So they talk around outside, and then have a little brief encounter, and she heads off, leaving him behind after telling him about her bar called Prodigal downtown. So he stops by, quickly makes friends with everyone there, and the rest, as we know, is history. At least if you read the Rick Grayson stories, you know what happened. He spends a lot of time there. They become close. Friends of his come in and out. Barbara, Alfred, various other people. He tells them all to go away. B and Rick become very close over time. They spend a lot of time together. The whole time we now know that B is spying on him and feeding intel about his status and his state of mind and where his memories are, back to Spiral and back to Carmen. Eventually, though, she falls in love and he falls in love with her. So she does not now feel comfortable relaying any info to Carmen. Doesn't feel right to spy on the ones you love. As they get closer and closer, it's been weeks since her last update. Carmen goes and finds her, warns her about getting too close to her targets, and that with the information in his head, the only thing keeping him alive is her updates every week. And that if we do not get any updates on his mental state and where his memories lay, then Spiral will be forced to just assume that he's a target and take him out. So if she doesn't update him, if she wants to keep him alive, she needs to update them. But then, not long after that, Rick gains some bit more memory and reveals to be one of his greatest secrets that he was Robin the Boy Wonder. And that brings them even closer. That same night, after a passionate lovemaking session, they're watching TV, and then the news breaks. Exactly. The news breaks that, as B recognized it, a royal flush happens in which every global peacekeeping and clandestine organization, as per the newscast description, all went underground. Like, they all got taken out at the same time, which, if you remember from Leviathan Rising, for Brian Michael Bendis. So that all happened. So B is now alone. Spiral is no more, and she figures, well, she doesn't need to do this anymore. She doesn't need to keep up a charade. She could just be Bennett. So she unplugs her Spiral computer and leaves that life behind. Later on, though, Dick's granddaddy, as Talon, shows up, turns Dick into a Talon, leaving B without her boyfriend. And this is when she calls on the communicator that was given to her by her old partner, who is now Condor Red. Again, if you remember Rick Grayson, Condor Red was a player in those issues. Very oddly placed, but this kind of ties it together.
Yeah.
So Condor Red, who was once her partner, is able to help save the day and save Rick Grayson and her relationship with Rick. So they meet up after, and he reveals to Condor Red reveals to her that even though all the agencies in Spiral are technically no more, they were really absorbed by Leviathan. So they all technically still exist. But I also found out that Ascendec, because all the information after the Royal Flush happened, a lot of information got leaked. So he found out, is now telling me that Checkmate was actually Ascendec was actually a front for Checkmate. And that even though she was led to believe that her mother was a secret agent for Checkmate, turns out her mother was actually a double agent in reality an agent of Spiral who was spying on Checkmate. Someone at Checkmate must have found out and hired Revenant to eliminate her. So she's even more hurt that no one at Spiral could even tell her that. Anybody could have known. Anybody must have known, but nobody said anything. But she pretty much is ready to make peace with everything, and is ready to leave the spy life behind, because she does not want to lose Rick. But then, as we see the next issue or the next page, that did happen, because not long after the events of this, the whole Joker War scenario happens, and Rick loses himself and becomes Dick Grayson again. Dick gets his memories back, and he goes back to being Nightwing. To which he then has to leave Bee behind by trying to keep her safe and tell her that he doesn't remember anything about Rick Grayson, even though he clearly fucking does. And then KG Beast arrives to take him out and finish the job. They have a big fight. KG Beast gets arrested, and Dick leaves Bee forever, at least up until Tom Taylor's run, which we now know she's the Pirate Queen. Meanwhile, as not long after that, Bee, using her spy work, is able to infiltrate the Bloodhaven private prison and head straight for KGB's cell, pointing a gun at him and remind him of one murder he committed, to which he does remember every kill he's made. And after she reveals all the information that she has on her mother and the hit that he performed on her, he laughs it off and says, "You're fucking stupid. Thought you were a highly trained spy. You're wrong about everything. I did kill her, but I am not Revenant. Revenant is the person who hired me, and the hit was not contracted by Checkmate. It was contracted by Spiral." So even more twists in the story. But after this, she just doesn't feel like doing it anymore. After thinking about Dick or Rick or Nightwing or whatever, and knowing that he would never break that vow of trying to kill someone, of not trying to kill anyone, she decides to not do it either. So later on, she plugs her computer back in, and figures it's time for Siren to be alive once again. But there is no contact from anybody at Spiral over months and months at a time. We then pick up later on, after the whole City of Bane fiasco. Alfred is now dead, and Dick has the millions, if not billions, that were left to him by Alfred, and he is now and millions, and he is now starting that foundation, that humanitarian foundation for Bloodhaven to clean up the streets and make the city safe, which we saw over Tom Taylor's run. She's watching from a distance and then is found by none other than Ice, the once Checkmate spy, who is repaying the debt that she's owed, as she reveals that the Costa Rican art mask that she stole so many years ago was activated. It was a transmitter between La Agent Funebre and its agents, and it was activated at the time. So she was able to get info on what was going on. That a message was sent out the other day with the new contract for the hit on Dick Grayson. As we remember, the Titans, as well as Batman, were able to prevent that from happening. But as she also reveals, there's another message from none other than Revenant, and said that Revenant would use today's hit as a cover for their own hits, and that B is the target. And as that happens, Ice gets shot in the shoulder, and reveals that the person that took the shot was up in a nearby tower, who was continuing to shoot at B, but B is able to dodge the bullets, gets up to the masked assailant and gets the upper hand, rips the mask off, and it's her old handler, Carmen, who then reveals that she's been working with La Agent Funebre for ages, even since before she joined Spiral. And while her mother was a Spiral and Checkmate agent, spying on Checkmate as a Spiral agent was able to uncover the info about Carmen, and Carmen did the hits to prevent any info on her getting out. So Carmen and B have a big fight. And as Carmen gets the upper hand, pointing a gun at B, she pulls the whole "look behind you" thing, which Carmen doesn't fall for. But this time, Ice is actually behind her, and then B cracks her in the face. They arrest her. Ice takes off, and it's happily ever after, so to speak. B goes back to her life, but it's not much of a life she wants to lead anymore, because later on she then sees Dick and Barbara and Bitewing together as one little happy family. She does not let them see her as she hides away in an alley, but she knows that she wants to help people. That's what she wants to do with her life. So she contacts her old stepdad, the of the pirates, the captain, the quartermaster of the Bloodhaven Pirates, and then rejoins that squad. But finally, from the shadows, even though this is 20 years later and now technically in the present day, we see her mother watching from afar, and mentions that not even the pirates can protect you from what is coming next. So her mother's alive, and there's more to come. Which that leads me to believe that after Tom Taylor leaves the book, Travis Moore might be taking over. I'm just going to say that now. I'm just going to say that right now. I'll get that out of the way. That's the issue. I don't even know where to begin because it's so fucking dense. There's a lot of retconning. Which I'm kind of apprehensive to even call it retconning, because it kind of takes place in between stories. But
yeah,
it's like at the
it's
same
not
time,
really
it's also
going
taking
back
place
and
in
changing
stories.
stuff. It's just
it really
like going.
Isn't. No. It's weird. It's like it's not going back and changing anything realistically from stories that already existed. It's more just like adding things that we wouldn't have been able to see before, and it's tying in like the past 10 years of Dick Grayson stories, which is kind of cool, but I just don't know if that's necessary. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot. It's heavy.
I have some opinions, Mike.
I can't wait to hear them. The whole mystery that B's mother is still alive. What was the fucking point? Did that need to happen? It feels kind of cheap. It's a classic fucking twist that very rarely pays off in stories. I'm always reminded when I see this kind of twist that was the twist we got in the backdoor pilot for Supernatural in season 12, or Supernatural Bloodlines, or maybe it was season 9, and nobody fucking cared for that episode. Nobody watered it, nobody liked it, nobody cared. That was the twist at the end, and that caught my attention at the time. Like, oh my god, his dad's alive? I want to know what happens next. And then it never fucking showed up. And after that, it was like, okay, this twist is kind of dumb. And that's exactly what we get here. After 20 years, her mother's still alive, hasn't aged a day. Why? Unless she's a ghost, ghosts exist, but like that did not look like a ghost.
Oh, well,
as they stated, a body was never found. So
yeah, body was never found, and I mean, she's only 20 years older than what she was before, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if Brandon was on here, he'd vouch for it. I yell at him for it all the time. Black don't crack, man.
Yeah,
this does. but I mean, that part didn't bother me so much. It really didn't. Bezord, or I'm sorry, I interrupted you wrapping up what you were saying about it.
I'm honestly still collecting whatever it is I could even think about this issue, because there's so much to it.
There is, like,
I enjoyed
the story.
Some of it. It's just it's a lot. So I'm just gonna wrap it up here and say 7 out of 10, because I like the art.
Fair enough. For me, I mean, okay, so Bee's origin story of how she became a pirate vigilante and once worked at Spiral, and apparently did so while Dick Grayson was an agent there too. KGB killed her mom and shot Nightwing, and that's why they got entangled. That's all from Tom Kane. her deciding to retire. I mean, well, when she didn't really have a choice because Leviathan shut everything down. That was all Bendis. Bringing up Red Condor and Talon, that was all Jurgens. The first half of this, hell, the first 2/3 of this issue felt just like regurgitation. And it felt very generic. The way that the story was told felt generic. The last third, maybe actually the last quarter, made me give a shit about the B character, or at least where her story might be going and how it's going to relate to Nightwing overall.
Yeah.
I definitely hope that B's not about to take over the book for an extended period of time or become a huge focal point when we've got quite a bit going on in Nightwing's world as it is. But it does have me interested in where her story is going, especially when the whole thing revolved around her mom's death, and then now it turns out she's alive. It's a very classic trope. I have to hope that it's going to work out well. Travis Moore, on his last extended run, me and him didn't see eye to eye on Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And okay, this has got great art. It's got really, really great art. It's just mostly an empty story. I guess it needed to work in a bunch of the back stuff, and I can appreciate that it went out of its way to line up with continuity, and it really did. I did like that as it wrapped up. There's not a lot of hate for it. It just felt mostly rehashed, even though it actually wasn't. And I'm big enough to admit that a lot of my disdain for this is coming from the story elements that it touched on. There's some of my least favorite in modern comics history. With the art, my interest in what's going to happen with B, I'll give it a 6.5.
Fair enough.
The art's fantastic.
We'll
just have to see where this whole thing goes.
Yeah. I am very curious what Brandon would have thought about this.
As am I.
Yeah.
I'm very curious as to whether not he would have even enjoyed this one.
Yeah. I mean, considering he, if I remember right, skipped Rick Grayson.
He tried, if I'm not mistaken, he tried to hang in there for as long as he could.
Yeah. Just couldn't do it for very long, which I don't blame him.
I can't, unless it's your job, man. There ain't no reason to read comic books that you don't want to read.
I don't know. Like I said before, I read the fuck out of that book. And I don't know why.
every single issue I picked up, I'm like, is it over?
That was the exact same thing. I've never hate read anything. I never understood the concept of hate reading things. I was like, if a book sucks, if I don't like it, I'm just not going to read it. I couldn't stand Rick Grayson, and I hated every issue I read. But like, I continued just on the off chance that was the issue that Dick was going to come back. I was like, okay, come on. Like, it's been a year and a half. What's happening? Why am I doing this to myself? I don't get it.
Beyond ridiculous.
Yeah. So, yeah. It was a time. It was a time. That is the show. That's our books for the week.
It is. Well, you want to pick out your top 3 favorites of all 3 books? I'm gonna rate them. I guess I'll put them up in it. Top went to Harley and then Nightwing, and in first place went to the Flash, where also had my favorite moment. There weren't a lot of great moments this week, so I picked one that just stood out like crazy to me, and that's when Ultra Humanite's creepy ass brain with no mouth but 2 eyes starts talking. That whole scene, the whole 2 pages of it, I enjoyed the shit out of it. Other than that, there really wasn't a lot of great moments for me this week.
That's fair. For me, I was going to say very similar, but different order. Good. There's nothing else. I got Flash at number 3, Nightwing number 2, and Harley Quinn at number 1 are my favorite moments. There's a lot of laugh out loud moments for me and Harley, but I'm gonna go with Ivy and Harley having a goodbye kiss, and then Ivy revealing that she just inoculated Harley with every known disease.
Oh, man, that would be so handy.
Yeah, I thought that was my first laugh out loud moment for the issue. Okay, this is gonna be fun. So yeah, that was it.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank
That's
you,
it.
everybody, for watching. We will be back next week, like we are every week, covering all of DC's weekly releases. Same geek time, same geek channel, and that's the show. We're getting out of here, so you have to as well. Be careful out there, and remember, in the Geek Matrix, everybody has a home. In the Geek Matrix, you are not alone. I said, in the Geek Matrix, you are not alone.
Peace.
There we go.
Sorry.